Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into. Paul Skeens' debut in AA. Also, it's college football week for Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia. We're going to get into that, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Steelers, who have a lot of time before their first game, but boy, did they have a preseason. And here to talk about it is your panel tonight. We have Chris Adamski from the Trib. Over to our left, covers the Steelers on a regular basis. Andrew Fillipponi from the PM team in the middle. Joe Starkey from Cook and Joe every day, 10 to 2 on 937 The Fan. So good evening, guys. And Chris, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Good evening, Bob.
There was a trade, which we'll get into in a second. But I want to ask you first, Chris, about your observations. 5 possessions, 5 touchdowns. Kenny Pickett, not much in terms of snap count. How sustainable is it? Certainly not to that degree, but what do you expect now from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and has your opinion changed of them?
Yeah, it's hard to not have your opinion change, or at least your opinion, you can't, even that first drive, the first game, I'm like, wow, like that one, there's one drive, and you really got to kind of really temper your, I think, you see from that. But it's things that can carry over, right? The Kenny Pickett accuracy, the decision making, just the usage, the way they're in the middle of the field, even in the George Pickens, the yak and George Pickens. There's so many, the Calvin Austin speed, seeing that translate to a real game on a field, which we hadn't seen yet in terms of a real NFL game. There are so many little things about the offense, of course, we're talking about in particular, that I think you can feel optimistic about and feel it's preseason, yes. And if they punted 5 times or 8 times, whatever it is, we'd probably be overly reacting to that too. But I think a lot of this stuff can carry over to the regular season. It's not just overreacting to say you can feel better about the Steelers and their offense.
They're going to be a great team. I think they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they're right there as a team.
Is that how you felt going into this preseason?
Well, kind of, but I needed to see all 3 phases of the game look exceedingly good to really want to plant my flag there. Bob, you had the Eagles last year in the Super Bowl before anybody else. What did that team have? Young quarterback going into his second year as a starter, and because he was a second-round pick, you're able to fill out the roster with great players.
And you
don't have a $25 million cap hit like they had with Ben Roethlisberger the last few years. Mm-hmm. So the quarterback plays at a very high level, and you surround him with incredible players, and that's what I see here. I think it's a Bengals situation. I think it's a Jacksonville situation. You liked them last year. Yeah. I think they're going to win at least 12 games, and I have them knocking off the Bengals in the AFC North.
I actually agree, and I wanted to be the first to say the Steelers are going to go to the Super Bowl. And you know who they're going to play in a rematch? The Seahawks.
I thought you were going to say the Cardinals.
The Seahawks.
And Josh Dobbs.
The Seahawks. But forget about the Seahawks. I said they were 11-5-1 before the preseason. This only made me go maybe to 12. I think we're in the same boat here.
They're not going to tie that game now.
Listen, they won.
They kicked the last-second field goal now, Chris.
Yeah, right. They won 9 games last year. They're better at quarterback, maybe significantly. Better at running back, better at receiver, better at offensive line, better at defensive line, better at linebacker, maybe better in the secondary, maybe even in the secondary. I don't know yet. They're better everywhere, and they have an easier schedule. So how is it a leap to go from 9 to 11 or 12?
It's not.
They're
really playing not. 7 of the worst 9 teams in the league.
And I also think their defensive depth, their offensive depth is better than it's ever been, which led to a trade today because, according to Ian Rappaport, Kevin Dotson, this is not a surprising trade, Andrew, has gone to L.A., and they've got a 4th-round pick next year. They've swapped some 5th and 6th. They did that because they have Nate Herbig, they have Spencer Anderson, who they drafted. Like, they did a lot of things in this offseason that gave them the ability, putting Sayamalu there, to have a luxury in Kevin Dotson.
I mean, I don't think that Ben Roethlisberger would have gone out on his, white horse like Bettis did, but it really makes you think a couple of years ago when we got excited about Kevin Dotson and Kendrick Green. They trusted both of those guys to protect a quarterback that couldn't move, pressure up the middle, which even for the most fleet-of-foot quarterbacks is a problem. I mean, that is malpractice. And I love Kevin Colbert, but he screwed that up royally with both of those guys.
Hold on a second. Bob, 2 of your 3 panelists here picked the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl.
He wants to go right to Kevin Dotson.
Is this not a news item?
I only have so much time. What do you want us to do? Pound on this for the next?
Do you think that we're crazy?
I think it's incrinculant that you would think that of them.
What do you guys
I
think?
think they're going to be.
Well, I just said what I think, Joe.
I know what you think. These,
All right, let
these
me
two
put it
guys.
this way, Chris. ESPN analytics came out 34.4% chance the Steelers will make the playoffs. That's what their conclusion was after watching the preseason. Okay, that means they'd have a less than 50% chance of making the playoffs.
And the odds makers still have them at 8.5 wins.
I understand that. Nothing's moved, and I've seen enough. I remember Detroit Lions go 4-0 in the preseason, go 0-16. Not that this is that, but there's a lot that you can take from this and apply to a regular season. However, there is a regular season. Things ramp up, injuries occur, a lot of things happen.
I think you can go step by step. You can do both these things. Say, free agency went about as well as it could be expected for the Steelers to do. They checked the boxes they needed to check.
Do you think they're going to the Super Bowl? Or do you think that's crazy?
I think you're crazy, Joe. No,
Okay.
I don't think
good.
you're crazy, but I think they're a playoff team. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Yeah.
I don't believe
I
that.
don't know if they're going to go on a run and beat three Buffalo, Kansas
Maybe
City,
only two.
Cincinnati,
Maybe
whoever
they'll
it
only
needs
have to beat two.
Well,
There's always a team that drops off. Buffalo may be that team this
it's
year.
okay
There's
to
another
say that
team or two
they're
moves
better.
up.
They won free agency. They won the draft. We've seen, and not only did you win those those days, or in March and in April, they've all translated to the offseason. It translated to OTAs. You could see, a fourth-round pick, and Nick Herbig from the first rookie minicamp was a player. You could see all these things. In the preseason games, all these things show. The new free agents, the rookies, the offense is coming together, the scheme, Kenny Pickett, all these things, the arrows are pointing up for all these things.
How many wins? Dr. Adamski.
Well, can I give ties like you? Can I?
pick a tie.
What if I say 10-4-3? No, I don't know. I think they can win 10, 11 games. Yes.
Okay.
All right, well, that's okay. I mean, to me, that's what you're looking at, okay?
Yeah.
I want to ask you about specifically Kenny Pickett. And I know, Andrew, how you feel about it, so I think that's well documented. And you were the first to come out and say it before a lot of people did. But, Joe, if I were to tell you at the beginning of this season that he would be a top 10 by the end of the season, would you be disappointed or encouraged?
Would I be disappointed if you said he would be top 10?
Top 10.
No.
No,
Why would
in
I
other
be
words, you'd
disappointed?
expect it to be higher.
No, I'll settle for top 10. I mean, that means you move into the category of probably around Lamar Jackson, ahead of the likes of Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott and Tua and those guys. I'd be very happy if he's 8, 9, 10. And I think he can get there. And I think he's going to take a leap like you saw in his last year at Pitt. I'm with Ben on this. I didn't hate the pick at 20th overall, but I didn't think we were going to be talking about him as a potential star.
Well, I always thought the low ceiling thing was bunk because we saw what he did, as Joe just said, his last year at Pitt. So why was there the expectation that he had peaked as a 23-year-old player? That never made sense to me. Is it because he doesn't run like Lamar Jackson or throw the ball like Mahomes? Evidently.
Yes.
I think that was the issue.
I mean, when I
He
looked at him,
processes the game at an elite level.
And it's gotten only better.
And I always thought what people said about his rookie season was complete crap.
we're going to see if he process, and I think he will too, but we're going to see if he processes the game at an elite level in the NFL. That has yet to be seen.
We know his personality as a player, and they did zero to cater to that last year. I mean, I think most of the world would agree with what I've said and what Joe is seeing. I think you guys now think too with Kenny. If they had him start in training camp with the ones, play the preseason, and play all 17 games last year, he's a guy that needs prep. And they said, you can't work with the ones, and we're just going to throw you in there.
Yeah, looking back, that
was
certainly a
dumb.
mistake.
They screwed up his rookie year, but I don't think it's going to hold him back this season.
Real quick, Chris. You have anything to
Oh,
say?
no, you're right on that, because I think that it's sort of like these quarterbacks, you fall in love with the arm, you fall in love with the foot speed, those type of things in the draft. But you're right, though. Accuracy is one thing he might be best at. He might be the best in the league right now. When he runs, he throws on the run. When he runs left and throws right, he's really good. He does a lot of these things that are small, the processing, the chemistry, the leadership, all that's there. So there is a higher ceiling than, and you're going to be like the meme with Vince McMahon walking in when he makes a Pro Bowl or something. Yeah.
That would be Conor McGregor, just like Pickett did on the field. We're going to take a break. When we come back, how much pressure is Matt Canada under? We'll talk about that when we continue our Steelers conversation right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.